A Federer-Nadal quarterfinal would be a gift of sorts, especially since the number one seeds both were eliminated. Roger Federer. Photo by Chrysaline Caio. Copyright at Sport Vision, Indian Wells, Caliph. That was more like it. Indian Wells, the elite suburb of Palm Springs, which is pretty elite its own self, was what we expect this time of year, beautiful weather. And Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal also were what we expect this time of year, playing beautiful tennis. There probably isn't a tournament from Melbourne to Toronto that either hasn't won, but at this one, the BNP Paribas Open, the first big event each year after the Australian Open, both have been particularly successful. Federer has won it 5 times, Nadal 3, and the possibility one or the other will add another championship is very much real, and is always good for the gate, good for the tennis channel and good for Roger and Rafa. All the best players come here, Federer said, addressing a stadium full of fans Wednesday, after his 6-1, 6-4 victory over Kyle Edmund, the relatively young, 24, British player. "You guys are having a good time," he told a crowd that didn't need the reminder, and so are we. Nadal, whose 6-3, 6-4 win over Filip Krajinovic of Serbia came in the day's first match, was a trifle less effusive than Federer, which given his 11 a.m. start time is understandable. "I have to wake up at 6:30 in the morning," said Nadal. Federer and Nadal are one match apiece away from facing each other for a 39th time in their careers. Rafa has won 23 of the 38. And to the question of whether yet another opportunity against Rafa would still be exciting, Federer had a quick response. "Yes, absolutely," he said. "I think that's also one of the reasons I'm still in the game, is that when I play the top guys, I'm ready for it. For that, I train hard." Federer is 37 with 20 Grand Slams, arguably the best player ever, and we'll get into that more when Roger discusses Rod Laver, the last to win the True Slam, all 4 majors in a single calendar year, and he did it twice, in 1962 and 1969. Nadal is 32 with 17 slams, including 11 French Opens, the most titles won in a single event by a male player. Since the French is played on the red dirt of Roland Garros Stadium, he is considered the finest clay court player in history. So, in this non-major yet anything but minor BNP event, a Federer-Nadal quarterfinal would be a gift of sorts, especially since the number one seeds, Novak Djokovic and Naomi Osaka, both were eliminated. "I'm very happy this week," affirmed Federer. "I hope I can get there. But I'm not going to underestimate Hubert. As in unseeded Hubert Hurkacz of Poland, his next opponent, and the guy who upset Denis Shapovalov of Canada." "And yeah," agreed Federer, "Rafa looked supreme this week. He clearly also goes in against Karen Khachanov, but Khachanov played a good match just now against John Isner. I think that's also going to be quite a test for Rafa. But same for me with Hubert. I don't think we're looking too far ahead, to be honest, everyone else is. Big names with big games are the sport's attraction. Time and achievement merged to create an irresistible blend. Nothing against Hubert Hurkacz and Karen Khachanov, but if you had to rely on them to get headlines and ratings, well, you wouldn't get either." Federer, the Williams sisters, Rafa, they have earned their status. They've won. They've lasted, even longer than players did a generation ago, because of the emphasis on diet and training. Federer, who was no. 1 seemingly forever, now is no. 3. Venus Williams, 38, a multi-time champ, is 36th and hasn't won in a long while. "You've got to be passionate about what you do," said Federer. Laver, 80, played in the 50s and 60s, first as an amateur and then as a pro, as jet travel was just beginning. "What he went through, going from city to city," said Federer, "clearly he was ahead of his time. He brought something to the game. So have Federer and Nadal, who could bring even more if they meet here at Indian Wells." Miomir Kecmanovic and Hubert Hurkacz are continuing to make statements on the ATP Tour after reaching the quarterfinals of the BNP Paribas Open. Miomir Kekmanovic at ATP_Tour. Twitter, Miomir Kekmanovic and Hubert Hurkacz continue to make big statements on the ATP Tour as they reach the quarter-finals at Indian Wells. Serbian lucky loser Miomir Kekmanovic wouldn't have thought he would reach the quarter-finals of a Masters 1000 event anytime soon last week. The 19-year-old lost the last-set tiebreak to Marcus Thorand in final round qualifying and was preparing to reset his season. But after Kevin Anderson withdrew, Kekmanovic's luck was in and he has taken the opportunity with both hands after reaching the last 8. Despite Yoshihito Nishioka retiring after one set in their fourth-round encounter, there is no doubt that the Serb has deserved his success. In the aftermath of his success, Kekmanovic seemed stunned and happy at his week so far. "I'm really happy about it, especially since I didn't really do anything before this," the Serb explained in his press conference. "Yeah, it's, funny that at these big events to have 2-3 wins and, you're already there, so it's very lucky, so, yeah, I'm happy that I used this opportunity that I got." The IMG graduate also has a wild card into the Miami Masters next week, in what is turning into a career-defining week for Kekmanovic. A place in the semi-finals is up for grabs when he plays Milos Raonic tomorrow. Meanwhile, another player who is having an amazing couple of weeks is 22-year-old Pole Hubert Hurkacz. This time last year Hurkacz was outside the top 200 and struggling to find consistent form on the Challenger circuit. Now he has reached 2 ATP quarterfinals in a row, first in Dubai where he defeated Kei Nishikori to earn his first top 10 win. Then he beat Nishikori again in California and edged past Denis Shapovalov today 7-6, 3-2, 6-6, 3 to reach his first quarterfinal at Masters 1000 level. After basing his game off Andy Murray, the tall player from Wrocław is on the verge of the top 50 and will play Roger Federer in the biggest match of his career on Friday. The ATP have announced their 2020 calendar, which includes the new ATP Cup. Chris Kermode, ATP_Tour. The ATP has announced the calendar for the 2020 season as well as regular usage of the shot clock for next season. The main change for the ATP calendar sees Adelaide return in Week 2 for the first time since 2008. In the last edition Michael Lodra took home the title, although Novak Djokovic has also won in Adelaide in the past. Other changes include ATP Pune being moved from January to February as well as ATP Sofia now featuring in September alongside Shenzhen and Chengdu. The inaugural ATP Cup also features on the schedule in Week 1 as it is set to rival the new Davis Cup format. Below is the full 2020 ATP calendar with a European grass court tournament set to replace ATP Antalya as well. 2020 ATP tournament calendar picked out twitter.com/GVOUFG50, Michal Somolsky, @Michal March 13, 2019. In other news, the ATP have announced that the shot clock will be used for all tournaments next season. At the moment, the clock has been implemented for some ATP Masters 1000s and Grand Slams. The WTA have used it regularly also. However, the ATP have been cautious to use it at every tournament but today announced that it will be used at every event on the tour next year. The ATP has attracted almost 1 billion viewers per season and hope the announced changes will expand their audience despite ATP political chaos. Tennis paradise has turned into upset city. Rafael Nadal, photo by Chrysaline Cayo, copyright at Sport Vision. On Wednesday, all 8 men's singles round of 16 matches will be played, as the women begin the quarterfinals. Those rounds will not include either the men's or women's world number 1s, or the women's world number 2. Novak Djokovic, Naomi Osaka, and Simona Halep were just a few of the many seeds that fell on Tuesday. This tournament has been full of upsets so far. Will that continue on Wednesday? Roger Federer, 4 vs. Kyle Edmund, 22, embed from Getty Images. On paper, this may not appear to be an even matchup. But Kyle Edmund is on a 7-match winning streak in the desert. His ranking dropped as he battled a knee injury over the past several months, but he entered and won the Challenger event that takes place in Indian Wells the week before this event. and through 2 matches in this draw, he's only dropped 8 games in 4 sets. The problem is just as sharp as he's been playing, so has Roger Federer. Roger is also on a 7-match win streak, dating back to his title in Dubai 2 weeks ago. He also hasn't dropped a set in this tournament, and just crushed Stan Wawrinka last night. This will be their first meeting, and while Federer is of course the favorite, I give Edmund a fighter's chance. He's playing with a lot of confidence, is strong from the back of the court, and also moves well. Roger will need to keep his A-game going to avoid this becoming complicated. Garbine Muguruza, 20, vs. Bianca Andreescu. Embed from Getty Images. Normally a seeded player like Muguruza would be thrilled to see a wild card as their quarterfinal opposition, but perhaps not in this case. No one has more WTA wins this year than Andreescu, an 18-year-old Canadian who has been lighting up the tour. She already has 25 match wins this season, counting all levels, and it's only March 13th. Her 2019 began by making the final in Auckland, with victories over Venus Williams and Caroline Wozniacki. Muguruza herself has struggled of late, but pulled off her most impressive win in some time just yesterday over Kiki Bertens, the 7th seed. Is Muguruza ready to contend for another big title? I'm still not fully convinced. She prevailed in the end yesterday, but is still prone to spring errors in batches. That was also a long match, clocking in at almost 2.5 hours, and she does not get a day of rest before this quarterfinal. I wouldn't be surprised to see the red-hot Canadian teenager continue her surge, and continue the upset trend sweeping through the desert. Other notable matches on Day 10. Embed from Getty Images. In the other women's quarterfinal to be played today, Alina Svitolina, 6, who needed over 3 hours just yesterday to overcome Ash Barty, vs. Marketa Vondrousova, who yesterday upset Simona Halep. Rafael Nadal, 2, vs. Filip Krajinovic, who yesterday upset Daniil Medvedev. John Isner, 8, vs. Karen Khachanov, who is 3-0 against the American. In a battle of young ATP stars who upset top 10 seeds yesterday, Denis Shapovalov, 24, vs. Hubert Hurkacz.